Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because we got a couple of Indiana Fever updates to dive into today. First up, some news on Lexie Hull and Damiris Dantas. And like a lot of things this season, it's a mix of good news and bad news. We're heading into Game 3 against the Las Vegas Aces, and this time it's on Indiana's home court. The crowd is going to be electric, no question about it. Fever fans have been waiting for this moment, and they're ready to make Gamebridge Fieldhouse one of the loudest arenas in the league. On the broadcast side, Ryan Ruocco is on the call, and thank goodness Rebecca Lobo is alongside him. Because honestly, if I had to sit through another 2 hours of pure Aces propaganda from the other crew, I don't think I could handle it. They don't even try to hide the bias. It just jumps right off the screen. But I'll save that rant for another time. Here's what matters. The Fever need everyone healthy and locked in. Lexie Hull is a difference maker with her defense and energy, while Damiris Dantas add size and versatility. Their updates are a big deal for what's ahead. If the Fever are going to take down the defending champs, they need every weapon available. So yeah, good news and bad news, but a whole lot of energy heading into Game 3. This update comes from Chloe Bibby Peterson ahead of tomorrow's game, and it's about Lexie Hull. During practice today, Lexie was reportedly dealing with some back issues. Of course, my first thought was, oh, is this an end badly? Am I about to see Lexie Hull sitting on the bench next to Chloe, Caitlin Clark, and Sophie Cunningham, all lined up like the bench mob? Thankfully, that doesn't look like the case, but still, you always have to be concerned. Even something minor could affect her minutes this deep into the season. As expected, Damiris Dantas remains out for Game 3 against the Aces. She's still in concussion protocol. Honestly, I'm still wondering when she even got this concussion. We all know she's missed time, but the league hasn't exactly been clear about it. A little transparency from the WNBA would be nice. Fans deserve to know. Back to Lexie. Coach Stephanie White confirmed she didn't practice today for precautionary reasons. The good news is she's listed as probable with that back injury. And at this point in the season, how much practice does she really need anyway? Everyone is banged up to some degree. What matters is being ready when the ball tips. So, the Fever head into Game 3 at home against the Aces with some questions, but also some optimism. Lexie is probable, Dantas is still out, and the rest of the team will have to rally. It's playoff basketball. Nobody is 100%, but this is when toughness matters the most. So, let's get into the next big storyline. Outside of Caitlin Clark, the other star on this Fever squad is Kelsey Mitchell, and she's officially headed to Unrivaled. Now, I don't know how much that excites you, whether it makes you want to tune in more, or maybe even less. Personally, it doesn't move the needle all that much. At the end of the day, it's still 3x3 basketball. And I've said this before, that's one of the league's biggest flaws. That said, the Fever now have 2 players packing their bags for blue skies and warm beaches this winter with Unrivaled. For anyone not familiar, it's a 3x3 league co-founded by WNBA stars Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart. And here's the kicker. Both of them also happen to be vice presidents of the WNBA Players Association. So when you think about league competition and collective bargaining talks, it's pretty interesting to see how Unrivaled lines up directly against the WNBA in a few ways. Definitely something worth pointing out. This week, Unrivaled officially announced that both Lexie Hull and Kelsey Mitchell will be suiting up this winter. For Hull, this isn't new territory. She played in the league's inaugural season earlier this year and actually won a championship with Rose, BC. So this marks back-to-back off-seasons where she's decided to run with Unrivaled. Now, with Mitchell joining her, the Fever will have 2 stars competing outside the W, keeping their game sharp, but also raising questions about what this means long-term for the league landscape. For Mitchell, this off-season represents a different path. For the first time in her career, she's joining Unrivaled and staying stateside instead of heading overseas, like she has in years past. Last season, she had a short stint in China, but that run ended early when she broke her finger. That injury brought her back to Indianapolis, where she eventually locked in her core contract with the Fever in January 2025. Here's the impressive part. Despite that broken finger, Mitchell went on to put together one of the best seasons of her career. She wasn't just durable, starting every single game for a Fever team plagued by injuries all year, but she also played at an MVP finalist level. We're talking 20.2 points per game and 3.4 assists, numbers that cemented her as one of the top guards in the WNBA. Looking ahead, Mitchell is slated to hit unrestricted free agency after the 2025 season. Of course, she's still eligible to be courted again by the Fever, which is definitely a storyline worth watching. On top of that, her contract included a $20,000 time-off bonus, which limits her participation in outside leagues to no more than 90 days. Conveniently, the unrivaled schedule fits perfectly into that window, running from January 5th, 2026 through early March, depending on how the playoffs play out. And don't forget, both Mitchell and Lexie Hull are no strangers to the 3x3 format. The two were part of the player pool for Team USA during the 2024 Paris Olympic cycle, so this isn't new territory. In many ways, Unrivaled gives them the perfect chance to stay sharp, stay competitive, and continue building their games before the W tips off again in the spring. Alright, let's shift gears for a second. Over on X, Catcher Season 2 dropped across TNT, True TV, and HBO Max, and the reaction started rolling in. And honestly, if you thought Kelsey Mitchell was a nightmare to guard in 5x5, just wait until you see her in 3x3. She looks like she was built for it. Mitchell in the 3x3 format is pure cinema, absolute entertainment. And if we're being real, someone like Kennedy Carter would probably thrive in this league too. Her style just translates. Now, here's where it gets interesting. People are saying Mitchell in 3x3 is about to feed families. And look, are we sure about that? Yes, Kelsey's a bucket, no doubt. But the competition is going to be tough. Still, one thing's clear. This is better than going overseas, where too often injured players don't get the same level of care or consideration. Of course, the counterpoint is that some overseas leagues are shelling out serious money. We're talking over $1 million for top talent. So, is this move really better long-term? That's something we'll all be debating. Either way, I do not envy whoever has to line up against her in that one-on-one tournament. That's going to be scary. As for the comments, sure, the official Unrivaled feed is hyping this up with wall-to-wall positivity. But let's be real. Once the conversation spreads outside their bubble, the reactions won't be nearly as glowing. That's just how it goes. Here's the conflict. On one hand, we're talking about a player needing rest and recovery, dealing with nagging injuries, especially a back issue. On the other hand, just a couple months later, there's talk about her playing in another league, this time 3x3. Which is it? Do you want her to actually heal, or do you want her jumping into new competition before she's fully ready? Don't get me wrong, 3x3 basketball has its appeal. It's fast, it's physical, and it's built for highlight reels. And honestly, players like Kelsey Mitchell and Lexie Hull jumping into this league definitely spice it up. Does it raise my blood pressure? Maybe a little, but it's not necessarily pulling me in unless the right mix of players shows up. Like, imagine Sophie Cunningham lacing them up for 3x3. Suddenly I'm paying attention. If Chloe Bibby joins too, now we're talking. Put Sophie and Chloe on the same squad, and I might actually commit to watching more than the first 5 minutes. That would be entertainment. But here's where I land. The real storyline isn't who's playing 3x3. It's the balance between health priorities and competition. If your body is telling you to rest, maybe forcing more basketball into the calendar isn't the smartest move. But if players are hungry and chasing the bag, you can't knock the hustle either. So we think, are you in on this 3x3 wave, or is it just background noise until the main W season tips off again? That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.